Hi, folks. So today we are going to be jumping into the wonderful world of surrealism in photography. Kind of an appropriate title, um, but let's get started. Okay. So many of you probably have heard about surrealism just from maybe art in eighth grade or have taken studio in art. And one of the things I want to share with you is that basically it's art that just escapes the concept of reality. Um, and it escapes it by using fantasy, fantastical ideas. So it could be fantasy that's inspired by dreams, memories, sometimes even feelings. But a lot of your surrealist artists began using fantasy techniques and images taken from dreams in their own work. When you use this kind of concept in photography, it kind of creates a little bit of an unsettling feeling, just because of the fact that photography has always been for the longest time sought at as a visual truth. So you're basically taking something that looks extremely realistic and you're giving it this surrealistic concept or idea. And when people see it, sometimes you look at it and think, whoa, it's a little bit less, I guess, oh, well, it's a little unsettling just because of the fact that we look at photography as being so realistic. But with Photoshop, obviously, you guys are aware for years, people have been using this concept and making things look extremely lifelike, like it was taken with a camera. However, obviously, good Photoshop editing skills can make you believe something that isn't really real. So, how do photographers use this today? Well, let's just take a look at we've got Katie Couric, newscaster, and when you look at the before shot versus the after shot, obviously you can see with the red lines very clearly what was edited and taken to look obviously surreal. So, how is this actually surrealistic? Well, it's an ideal form. It's using an ideal body image and transforming the real one into something that is almost completely 100% believable. And then you look at other ways that they've changed celebrities into a totally contrasting look. So you've got Taylor Swift here, and they edit the weird looking teeth on her. Okay, and here's another one with regards to body image. Now we all know that it's done, but you almost have to carefully look at the one that's taken on the right, which is obviously the shot before it's been edited versus the one on the left. And obviously there are no red lines in it, but if you're carefully looking, you can see the back line of Faith Hill. Very different in this one. Just look at her facial features. What do you notice that's different on the one from the right to the left? Okay, so it's all these minuscule little changes that make it seem like it was perfectly taken without any editing, but those editings are just so small, and it makes you believe that this is the true image here on the left. Okay, now obviously with surrealism, things are done a little bit more extravagantly, so you really can tell that something has been edited. And what I want to talk about with you guys today are the five concepts of surrealism. So we've got levitation, there's dislocation, transformation, change of scale, and then juxtaposing. So I'm going to get into each one individually, okay? Levitation just simply means when something appears as if it was floating in midair, okay? The one on the left was taken by photographer Jerry Yulesman. Believe it or not, that one was done with zero Photoshop. Jerry Yulesman is actually a traditional film photographer. So when you look at a lot of his shots, it looks like it was done very easily with Adobe Photoshop. Wrong. He actually was a master at montaging negatives together. So he would photograph large format negative, and then believe it or not, he would actually use scissors and he would clip out the negative, maybe not scissors, but something a little bit more fine tuned, and he would actually cut and paste or cut and kind of stitch these negatives together and then create these prints in the darkroom. Maggie Taylor is very different. She actually uses Photoshop, but she doesn't use the camera. She would use a scanner, and she would scan in images from like magazines. She would kind of borrow some techniques and ideas from pictorialism, creating almost the sensation of a painting, and then she would pretty much Photoshop all of these little extra pieces that you see within the piece. So two very different photographers or artists not using the same traditional techniques that most surrealistic photographers would use. How do photographers use levitation today? Okay, so again, Maggie Taylor, same kind of concept. She's got this woman who looks as though she's floating, but you already understand how her style is created. And then you've just got the simplicity of, okay, here's a photograph. It's done very well in Photoshop and editing, and the way they shot this was done very easily. Believe it or not, these are all techniques that you guys already know how to use or know how to do. It's just a matter of putting them to use. Okay, same kind of idea, levitation. Believe it or not, this again is the same idea. You know how to do this. It's just a matter of breaking it down and understanding how to shoot it and then how to edit it in Photoshop. Okay, same kind of concept. Very well done. The photographer obviously shoots the people, probably not in the setting where they're actually above the water, but you can see the reflection. It makes it very believable. And I think several of you guys already know how to create that reflection in Adobe Photoshop. Okay, some of you may have seen this one done time and time again. Again, very simply done in Adobe Photoshop. And throughout the next few weeks in here, I'm going to show you guys how to actually use the techniques of Photoshop that you already know how to do and how to create images very similar to this. Do you ever feel like you were flying from the winds being so strong or wonder if somebody's going to fly away? Well, obviously, this was not actually taken of a little boy flying away, but no doubt that the photographer probably did put a wind of some sort on the umbrella to make it look as though it was getting hit by heavy winds. But this all done via Photoshop and proper setup when you're taking your shot. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go through these next ones. Okay, this one's kind of separate. Next concept is dislocation. And when you think of dislocation, the definition here just says when an object is displaced from its ordinary position. Okay, dislocation, when you think of it, just think of something not being in the correct place. Okay, so wherever you're watching this video from right now, I want you to take a look around you. Okay, what would be really weird to have in your space right now? Okay, think of it this way. Think of something really extravagant. What would it be like if there was an elephant just literally standing in your room? Okay, obviously that's kind of a generic idea, but you get the gist. Okay, so dislocation, whenever you think of this one, think of something that is not in the correct place. Okay, so obviously with this one, I thought this was kind of unique. You've got a person's face on all these different sheets of paper and they're kind of scattered around, and then you have his hand kind of grasping at the other one or at the sheets of paper. Okay, dislocation, people walking on the beach and they take the concept of the water and literally put them below or underground in a pool. Okay, this one's kind of a fun play at it, obviously. They do something where you're playing with the change of scale, but not a lot of editing done with this. This is just playful with regards to how they shot it. Okay, dislocation, you dislocated somebody's body and took it completely out. Not only that, in this one, I love it because the photographer is not just using dislocation, but they're also using levitation. So they've got these frames and they're just kind of floating in the air as the person's walking down the railroad track. The other thing that I think is kind of fun is you've got this person who's dressed in what looks like a business kind of gear, very formal, and they're walking down a railroad. That in and of itself is very weird. And obviously it grasps the concept of dislocating it. Okay. Dislocating, taking an entire city, putting it in an hourglass. And if you look carefully, you've got the rural setting up in the top part of the hourglass. I love this one because it's conceptual. So it's got the concept of over time, everything's just gradually fading into these larger cities. Okay. The next concept, this is the third one, is called transformation in surrealism. Transformation just simply means when you're seeing something transform right before your eyes. Now, obviously, if we were doing videography or video, we would be it would be very easy to make something transform before your eyes because you'd be able to see all the stages and phases of something transforming. For example, a tree turning into a house. Whereas with photography, the concept behind this is that you're capturing just one scene of the transformation. So you're seeing that middle scene where the tree is just gradually transforming. Obviously, you probably know the transformation tool in Photoshop. That would definitely be a key factor in how you would create something transforming. Okay, this one, the woman is slowly transforming, or her body is transforming and she's peeling away the face to reveal what's behind it. This one's just kind of unsettling. Usually, when I show this, everybody kind of looks at it and it gives people the kind of unsettling feeling. Again, it's surrealism. So when you look at it, you see this person and it's slowly transformed into a profile versus a front forward look. Yeah, this one I think is kind of cool where they transformed the person's face into some kind of like a tight elastic. Okay, this one she's transforming from the piece of paper and it's transformed into her face. So again, it's using the concept of transformation where it's slowly changing. All right. This next one we actually have done in the year, and it's called change of scale. And that just simply means when the size of an object is unusual compared to its surroundings. So this is another Jerry Uelsmann. Everything that you see that's done that I posted by Jerry Uelsmann is actually all done by film and not Adobe Photoshop. So you've got this large eyeball in the browns. This one I love. It's kind of fun. Just a really large shoe, obviously, up against the person. One of the things that, and obviously you guys know, with change of scale, you have to have some kind of a reference object. So something that tells us that the object is actually bigger or smaller than what it actually is. So this one was done again by Maggie Taylor. It's called The Cloud Sisters, and obviously we have the reference of the clouds. It tells us that these girls are really, really large in comparison, obviously, to the clouds. Our last one, I believe this is the last one, it's juxtaposing. And juxtaposing is just pretty much what you've probably learned in English class or writing class. It's just where you combine two things together that don't typically belong together. So they're juxtaposed. So when you look at Maggie Taylor's piece, you've got this person and she's juxtaposing a lot. She's got butterfly wings, she's got the bird head, and obviously it's on the human body. So that's obviously juxtaposed positions. A lot of kids would get confused with this with dislocation. When you think dislocation, think of setting of the actual place, where how they might be out of place. Whereas this one, it's juxtaposed where you're just combining things together. So again, wings on people would be juxtaposing. If you've ever seen Toy Story, do you remember that character Sid? The kid that would just disassemble and rearrange all of the toys and put them in these really weird um, combinations. Well, Sid, I would say, was like the master at juxtaposing toys. So if you need to think about juxtaposing, think of what you can combine together, just like what Sid did in his unique creations. Okay, so here you're juxtaposing an anchor with a head. And the fun thing about this one is that obviously it's a little conceptual. It's got maybe a little bit of a deeper meaning where you feel like you're kind of anchored to the ground. I don't know about you guys, but right now I feel pretty anchored to my house. Um, and I guess this, kind of I relate to this photograph a little bit right now. Okay, this one you feel maybe like you're being pulled in different or pulled in a certain direction. Your head is pulling you in a certain way, but juxtaposing the rope with the head. The Hands of Time. So obviously you guys get this one a little bit deeper meaning, but yeah, it's got the hands. Okay, this one, imagine getting tickled by all these little fingers, or, maybe texting really, really quickly. Okay, but either way, it's grasping that concept that you're juxtaposing another hand on top of the fingertips. Okay, this pretty much concludes my presentation on surrealism. I have an assignment that I would like you guys to complete with this. Please read the attached assignment and complete it for me according to the due date, okay? I hope you guys are all doing well. I really miss being in the classroom and hearing all your responses. I just imagine you guys sitting up on the table and chiming in with each of these photographs. I really miss your responses and I miss hearing from you. So if you feel the need and you guys want to send me a little response, I love hearing from you guys. Feel free to send little comments or messages in conjunction with this assignment. Okay. I will hopefully see you guys soon. Bye.